Thank you very much for joining us, and let's get started. Cameroon's government will today begin what it calls a national dialogue on the separatist crisis in its northwest and southwest regions. But separatist leaders invited to the talk say they will not take part in any dialogue unless it is held outside Cameroon with non-Cameroonians as mediators. The government has stated it will not accept a foreign mediator. It also says it has invited more than 1,000 people, including lawmakers, clergy, teachers, and civil society activists, and they will be chaired by Prime Minister Joseph Ngoute.
Exactement, Jerry. Et depuis maintenant 3 ans,
for the past 3 years, the demands by part of the population that considers itself aggrieved by the French-speaking population has caused deadly conflicts between armed independence groups and the state security forces. Some groups are demanding return to federalism, others are calling for separation for the rest of the country. To date, the conflict has killed 3,000 people and displaced nearly 500,000. We discussed further with Lambert Ngwafo, Africanews correspondent in Yaounde, Cameroon.
Bonjour à vous sur le plateau.
Alors aujourd'hui s'ouvre à Yaoundé le grand
Lambert, hello. The Great National Dialogue initiated by President Paul Biya is in order to bring the country out of the crisis that is shaking the English-speaking regions opens today in Yaoundé.
La ville de Yaoundé, qui abrite le grand dialogue
Yaoundé, the host of Great National Dialogue, has been in full swing since yesterday, Sunday, with the arrival of delegations from all over the country. The location where these talks are taking place has been revamped, and Prime Minister John Ngoute, who is also the one who will lead the talks, has gone down to the conference center to oversee the preparations. This Monday morning, many political and civil society leaders will arrive at the Yaounde Conference Center to participate in the national dialogue with an aim to end the crisis in the English-speaking regions. The stage is set. Security is everywhere. Since yesterday, the police have been conducting patrols across the location. The Prime Minister told the press that he is optimistic because 99% of Cameroonians want peace in the English-speaking regions of northwest and southwest Cameroon.
Interesting, but there are uncertainties, Lambert. The participation of some of the leaders of the secessionist groups is in doubt. What do you know about this? Could you tell us?
As you say, the great uncertainty remains whether there will be effective participation of the separatist groups. Some have announced their attendance, others have flatly declined the government's invitation because they say they do not have the guarantee that they will be safe. According to the separatists, the president has not decreed an amnesty for the leaders of armed groups. This is the case of Mark Barretta, who is very active on social networks and a supporter of secession, who announced last Friday that he would not participate in this dialogue, stating that the only way to conduct real negotiations was to do so on neutral ground. The Anglophone Civil Society Consortium says it is ready to participate in this dialogue, but under certain conditions, including the release of the secessionist leader Ayuk Tabe. Apart from the separatist groups, many of them have decided to boycott these talks. There are also some members of civil society and leaders of political parties, such as Kawala, president of Cameroon's People Party, who has clearly stated that they will not participate in this dialogue on the grounds that the government is judge and arbitrator. These opposition and civil society leaders have conditioned their participation through independent mediation. Lambert, can you give us an idea of the issues that will be discussed? Several issues are on the agenda and will be discussed in 8 committees. The key issues include the issue of decentralization of the state, return of refugees, displaced persons, and the development of cities affected by the English-speaking crisis. According to the testimonies gathered here and there are many differences depending on whether one is on the side of the government, the opposition, civil society, or armed groups. The Social Democratic Front, the first separatist party in the parliamentary opposition, is opposed to the fact that the government has selected the issues to be debated without conferring. SDF members say they will push for the debate on the structure of the government on the agenda. It must be said that some Cameroonians are calling for federalism, others for decentralization, and armed groups are calling for cessation. The debates look very tense, and according to political scientists, the success of the talks will depend on the high involvement of armed groups in the debates to end the crisis in the English-speaking zone.